Simpsons Index, an online spreadsheet that is also a podcast. This is the podcast.
Coming to you out of SideQuest Studios, this is the Simpsons Index, episode 204. Hello out there, I'm your host, Elliot Jay O'Neill, and joining me from wires and internet and Wi-Fi and technology is David Molloy.
Hello, we're glad to be back.
And from Side Hustle Studios here as always, except when he's not, is BT Calloway.
Hoi hoi.
And this is the Simpsons Index. This is a podcast where we watch and review 3 episodes of The Simpsons at a time, but there is a twist. Each episode must come from a different decade. Happy lockdown, everybody. We're still in lockdown.
Woo! Hooray!
Yay.
We made it back to the interior of our homes once again.
You know what? I mean, on the one plus side, it takes a lot of pressure because when people are like, hey, what did you do on the weekend? If I say, video games and movies, they're like, wow, well done for doing your bit. Whereas previously it would have been, oh, really, man? Oh, was that everything? Like 3 days straight?
I'm doing this for the kids.
Yeah.
I'm just flicking through Netflix, chomping an entire series in one day. It's like, yeah, I'm a good citizen.
Yeah, exactly. I'm rewatching Hannibal because I'm a patriot. That's what I'm doing.
See?
Oh, awesome. Well, we'll have to get into what we've been into lately, but you know what we're always into here on the Simpsons Index? The Simpsons, like this episode.
I wouldn't say we're always into it.
Well,
we're always watching it at least.
Yeah, we're into dissecting it sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes with a very dull scalpel, but still.
Yeah. And yeah, David, especially wanted you for this episode because we previously had you on to review Don't Blame It on the Lisa, I think, which is the Rio episode. And the Simpsons are returning to Brazil again in this episode. Season 25, episode 16, You Don't Have to Live Like a Referee. First released in March of 2016, it was directed by Mark Kirkland, written by Michael Price. In this episode, Homer becomes the referee of FIFA, and their family go to Brazil, and Homer tries to not get bribed. What do we think?
Yeah.
I actually I think just owing to, previous experiences with this delightful podcast, went in with incredibly low expectations, and it kind of met them and slightly surpassed them. I thought it was okay. I laughed a couple of times. I cringed a couple of times, which is par for the course, but I thought it was okay, passable.
Passable is a good term.
Which is, I guess, like a soccer ball. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we're on the sports terms.
But does it get in the hoop goal? Let's find out.
So no one's watching the Olympics right now, right?
I keep forgetting they're on.
Yeah. I've more been watching the Olympics of people bending over backwards to try and make themselves sound like they have moral high ground over Simone Biles. Just people on Twitter being like, I can't believe you're teaching a nation how to quit. It's like, dude, you literally tweeted about how you don't have the heart rate to stand still. You haven't done enough cardio to just exist.
Yeah. Yep. No, the superiority going over a bunch of athletes, it's like, oh, I could have done that on Tony Hawk's.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've done, dude, he didn't even do a Christ dare. What do you call that? This is the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think this one, I don't know if this is what the Simpsons were attempting to do, is like a Brazil, hey, we good sort of thing.
Definitely had that undertone.
For sure.
I don't know if they still rose above a bunch of the old problems in Blame It on the Lisa.
I think if you had a criticism, it would be that the first one was about, the country, whereas this is just about soccer. And so I never took, Brazil are all bribers as much as, people involved in fixing soccer are people who are going to, bribe people.
Yeah, but I think there is still that kind of undertone of just because it's not even necessarily because it's Brazil, but it's we're somewhere that isn't America or isn't quote unquote first world. Corruption, doesn't exist in America.
Funny.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was kind of it was a little bit undercut by the fact that, it had that sense of being, this is sort of, Brazil, I spent too long being afraid of you was one of the Homer quotes. There was that effort to kind of build a little bit of a bridge, but that bridge was built on the same jokes they made the first time.
True.
And there's a lot of kind of flagging of, hey, we're doing the same things again.
They
it's like,
do still have the over sexualized children's show. It's not as egregious, but it's still there.
The stripping nun, it's a lot of the same thing. Really, the only thing they don't have is the multicolored rats.
Yeah.
They're adorable.
I feel like, that's it. They're saying the country's beautiful this time. They're not doing that whole dirty thing this time, fortunately.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, especially towards the end, I thought some of the material's really lacking. But anyway, let's get into the review. BT, we'll start with you. For better or worse, what's a moment that stands out to you?
The fact this technically kind of has a fuck you opening that kind of actually comes back a little bit. So this whole thing starts off because they're doing, for reasons that are fuck you and don't come back, they are doing this whole, make a speech about your hero when Lisa is doing Marie Curie and then gets taken by Martin before she can get on stage. So changes to Homer and that inspires him, blah, blah, blah. And then after this entire first act, you're like, oh, wait, this whole thing is just to get Homer to referee soccer again? Holy shit. But then they actually kind of kept that as a theme, and it didn't just spring up at the very end again.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit more, I expected that to just fade away completely and it maybe jump up at the very end. But no, it actually stayed a bit more consistent than I was expecting. So well done, episode, for remembering how you started. Sort of.
Some consistency for once.
Yeah. A little bit. I agree. I appreciate that a bit too, especially there's such a severe lack of that sort of stuff. But I thought there was probably a better way to drop the reveal. I didn't like the fact that it was Bart, and then the I don't know if it's World Soccer or FIFA or who they're trying to be. I'll just say FIFA for simplicity.
I'm pretty sure it's FIFA.
They come to him. Oh, so you found out? Well, we knew too, and it's like, this is pointless. Just why didn't you guys hold it over?
If they knew, and surely it would be funnier for them to try and dig up dirt on Homer and they find out this of all facts. And that, because the scene where Bart gives it away, he's like, oh, what kind of person do I want to be? Oh, I'd rather crush you. And it's like, I don't believe that in this moment at all. It's just not there for a reason.
Yeah, but I do enjoy at least the overt awareness where, they are kind of playing, I guess, with how much knowledge some of the characters have as opposed to how much knowledge the audience has. So you have that moment later on where the bribers are like, we knew eventually that you would find out that your daughter had written a speech about Marie Curie. It's like, how did you possibly find this out? And I love that they didn't reference that at all. They didn't do the classic, how did you know that? They just play, they just let that line sit. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah, and, there was something to Lisa's guilt later on, but how about you, Dave? What did you, better or worse, what's a moment that stood out to you? Sorry, I'm still learning how to talk again.
Yeah,
no,
the flow
I totally get
is
that.
just disrupted just enough to make this very difficult. But we do it for
sure,
you,
for
audience.
Sure. I mean, to kind of get, I guess, the temperature in the room, is everyone sort of, are you guys on your own? Are you locked down with company? Where are you at?
Fortress of Solitude, baby.
Sorry, bud. That sucks.
That's cool.
And an essential worker as well.
Oof. Oh,
so
BT.
You get to talk to great people.
Yeah.
Really good people.
You legit are one of the good ones, though. That's heroic. Well done.
Thank you, man. People would be sober without me.
No getting through lockdown without that.
That's true. That's true. Speaking of which, I've got to put an order in. Gosh, things that stood out to me. I did write a significant number of jokes here. Okay, actually, yeah. Something that stood out to me. Tighter than two dogs on a summer morn.
Yeah. I assumed I misheard that one.
What?
There's a bit where the commentator's like, the match is tighter than two dogs on a summer morn. And I'm like,
oh.
Can we pass that for just a second? Can we try and unpack what the hell that was?
Okay, so it's summer and you're a dog.
Yep, got that far.
This is pretty tight, dude.
Yeah.
These tight dogs. These tight Brazilian dogs. It's another Brazil thing, isn't it? Oh, their dogs are so tight there.
Yeah. They just love hugging on a summer morn. I don't know.
It was just that was unfathomable to me. I just could not process what the intention of the gag was. And I'm sure that, please. I'm sure there's probably one of the writers who was that is my favorite joke I've ever written in all of The Simpsons. But for me, it was just whoosh.
Yeah.
As well, I think actually one of those other things that's indicative of, I guess, The Simpsons as a whole is the commentator who says, we've achieved our goal, and he does the Brazilian commentator gag, but they do it as a rule of threes. and it has diminishing returns for every single one.
It was so
also, Google had no answers for me.
And now you're on a watch list.
I am
No, they were just like, how to keep your dogs cool in summer. And I'm like,
how to keep them dogs tight.
Yeah.
It's a horrible day I had at the vet where they're like, why are these dogs so loose?
Like, I don't know. I mean, I know it's winter, but still.
Tighten up your dogs, people.
Yep.
If you learn nothing else from this podcast.
Look, just get a wrench, find the tightening bolt. Tighten up your dogs.
Yeah.
Anyway, the goal guy, that was Andres Cantor, who is legit soccer has been, and they get him in for this lame thing, and even like the other commentator goes, Andre Cantor, that's not the right context to be using that. And then
I have no control, and then this job has taken its toll. And like, dude, I got it. It's cool.
You can tell he had to do more than one take, and he got sadder with every take.
Paycheck's a paycheck.
Yep.
So, God, what's a moment that stands out to me? I guess it's 2016 when this episode comes out, and so it's in production in like 2015. November 2015 is when Jared Fogle gets arrested for being Jared Fogle.
I was going to say, because I wrote down, that's not aged well, but to be fair, that's not their fault. And
well, I think it kind of is.
Yeah, well, I didn't know it was that recent.
It's still a weird flex at that point in time. Like, Jared was not at, shall we say, the height of his popularity at the moment at which his less savory actions were revealed.
Yeah.
Like, it's a weird flex for them already.
Yeah, you'd think
and then
that would be just sprint to the editing office and cut that immediately.
Yeah.
Activate the Epstein protocol. It's happening again.
But it's, this isn't the Jared Fogle commentary to be making at this time.
No.
Like, I'm just so surprised, like, that they went this route, like, regardless of all the horribleness.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to them that they're, behind the times on it because they thought of it in the writer's room and that's good enough. So, like, we need to get an episode, do it.
Yeah, it's in production, people. What do you expect? You can't stop production once it starts.
Can't stop progress. Nor can you stop this first draft from making it to production.
When they shout, stop the presses, there's no button for that. You can't do it.
Yeah.
The presses just go.
It's such a weird link, like, especially, given that the start of the episode started with, like, a children's riot against an Abraham Lincoln and, God, I had to write this name down, Stephen Douglas fake debate. I don't know. Is this a thing?
Somewhere an American is really upset at you for not knowing that.
Well, it's the other thing, because they had this and like, we need to know who these kids respect. Let's get a corporate sponsor to sponsor us so we can have a debate, make them write a paper about it. And it's like, you could have cut this and just gone straight to, we need a corporate sponsor because we're poor. And then, you don't have to have this whole, because I found this whole intro, this first scene really confusing and like very quickly paced, but not in a good way. And
definitely the weakest stuff in the episode as well. Like, the jokes don't really land. Even, like, lobbing Millhouse at those at the performers was like,
Oh, and quit concussing yourself where he's flexing a basketball hoop on his head.
No good. The weird, like, trying to do a gay joke that isn't a gay joke with, I shared beds with men all the time. Like, all right, okay, all right, we get it. And also, especially in an episode that is directly addressing a quote-unquote potentially racist, issue that The Simpsons had in the past, it's weird to then do a Japanese-American bonding group that is pachinko machines.
Yeah, what do we know about retired Japanese people? They love that pachinko.
Love pachinko. Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, it's one of those things like, I think that definitely could have gone worse. But
sure.
I don't know how to take that exactly. I don't know much about pachinko other than, what I've seen on The Simpsons. You're a winner, ha ha ha.
Yeah, I played, I can tell you parts of it. Like, I played one game of pachinko because it was Evangelion themed, and so it, like, ticked Dave's boxes. But it is this bizarre sort of, like, circuitous thing where essentially, like, pachinko itself is legal, but what you're, like, gambling with are these little metal balls that you put in the machine.
Yep.
You pay for a certain amount, and then you take your amount of metal balls, your bucket of metal balls, they give you a little ticket, and then you take the ticket to the gift shop that is next door and you exchange that for a toy, a teddy bear, something like that. Then you take the teddy bear to the place.
I was hoping there would be
in
more
exchange
steps
for
in this
money,
process.
and that's how the Yakuza make
Right.
their cash.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot more teddy bears involved in being in the Japanese mafia than I realized.
Yeah, the Yakuza are a bit more chill now, you know?
Well, it's nice to know there's some wholesomeness in the Yakuza.
Yeah, exactly. Like, not all organized crime, you know?
Yeah,
Oh, jeez. Play count. Have you guys seen this episode before?
New.
I have. I'm pretty sure. It's not exactly memorable, so I'm not certain.
No, not really. But how was the wackiness in this one? You know, on the Simpsons Index, we like to talk about cartooniness and cartoony moments, animations. What do we think of this?
The bit of wackiness I liked is when Homer starts to, not call the game towards Brazil and is, actually calling it properly. And the mafia guy watching him takes off like the number one fan finger and puts on the gun finger. I thought that was pretty good.
The gun finger was okay.
Speaking of that dude who falls, though, the whole extended funeral sequence.
That was confusing. And then at the end where he comes back as a ghost and then becomes a human again, it's like, wait, what?
I
They
mean,
just
I didn't
shifted
mind that
gears.
as a throwaway gag. Just as, like, that very last second, I was okay with that. Also,
Yeah.
like, I had big love for El Divo anyway because, like, part of my heritage is Italian and we know how to throw.
Yeah, I did like initially, like, him showing him as the best thrower in the game. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
But I felt like it undercut Homer's journey a little bit to actually have him die. Like,
Yeah, but then he comes back. So he's just that good at faking, yeah.
Layers, the comedy writing, it's too good for you, Elliot. You don't understand the depth of the joke.
You need a high IQ for this show.
yeah, right.
Yeah, cue the Rick and Morty copy pasta.
Yeah. Were there any other wacky moments that stood out to you?
I enjoyed the leaf blower. So when he in the montage of Homer being bribed by various people, he finds his pillowcase is full of money, and so he tosses the money out over the balcony, and the bribers try and blow it back up with the leaf blower, so he turns on the fan. Like, I enjoyed that little back and forward.
Yeah, I actually did like the bribing montage, even like the escalating amount of money and red cards being passed between him and that other soccer player. Like, I did, get a bit of a kick out of that. Yeah.
I enjoyed referring to Man of Steel as, believe you me, Superman was never less fun. And it's like, well, there was Batman vs. Superman, though.
And I'm sure not the Richard, what's his name? Keith Reeve Richards. What's his name? Christopher Reeve.
Yeah,
I'm sure a couple of those movies suck.
Keith Richards? Imagine Keith Richards Superman. My goodness.
He is like a Superman. He's not the Superman, but
I've got super speed now. Oh, it's great. I don't know what else to say about Keith Richards. It seems very chilled.
Those
like,
famous
won't
Keith
know-
Richards lines.
he could smoke a durry in one pool now.
Yeah, watch this. Yeah. Ooh, my dogs
Yeah,
are tight.
fucking Superman.
What point was I fucking making? Oh, yeah.
Man vs. Steel. Man of
Welcome to
Steel.
the inside of an ADHD brain, my friend.
I'm potentially getting diagnosed with that tomorrow.
Oh,
that'll be fun.
congrats.
Yeah.
It's good to know things about yourself.
That's true. And if you do, you'll have context for it. So it's a lot like having three people recording a podcast in your head at once. And someone just said Man of Steel, and they're all trying to bounce their own bit on it. So this has been the medical corner of the Simpsons Index, I
Yep.
guess.
But how about the heart of this episode? You know, we're talking about another Lisa professing her admiration for her dad, and
Well, I
whatever.
really expected the heart to come back because Marge is making this impassioned plea in Portuguese. What was it? Is that it? Yes. And then I really expected her to say, she has this whole bit, I'm a mother, and then the mob guy's mother comes out, and I expected the mob guy's mother, her name to be Marge as well, and then he'd be like, why did you say that name? Marge!
Oh, that would have been good. But again, it's a couple of levels too advanced for where they're writing right now.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
know.
like,
that was a journey, though, man. I did not know where you were
I
going
know.
with that.
The
because that
Lord-
would have worked. Like, that would have worked on a surface level. And then for people who knew the reference point, it would have been like, oh, shit. Like,
Yep.
damn.
But no, I mean, to that bit's credit, though, it's like another bit of good memory that this episode
Yeah.
had. That, it's the woman that Lisa gave the setup for.
Yeah, and called back Marge's whole thing of trying to learn the language and stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Also just some solid voice acting for her to be able to, like, retain the Marge voice while speaking a language she doesn't speak. Like, pretty... I mean,
That's
like,
a solid point.
With no knowledge of Portuguese myself, like, I don't know how well she did. It sounded good.
Yeah, no, that is actually a solid point. Like, one of the things we keep saying on the Simpsons Index is, oh, Marge, please, oh, God.
Just let her rest.
Be gentle on yourself. Yeah, it'd almost be kind to, like, you know, give Marge the Maud Flanders treatment at this point.
Oh, God. That requires a lot of bravery on the Simpsons part.
She just writes everything on the chalkboard now. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Well, look, in fairness, it'd be fair to give the entire show the old Yeller treatment at this point, but still.
Yeah,
renewed to 34. Sorry, Peach?
No, in all seriousness, the heart moment of Lisa saying, "You became the hero I thought you could be," that was actually pretty sweet.
Yeah.
That was nice. I think the most heart I got from this episode was the Brazilian fans walking out going, ole, ole, ole. That got me.
The funeral march version of Ole.
Yeah, very good. Very good. I don't know. I feel like I'm with BT on that, in that kind of was a nice way of tying things back to the start, and it was, like, neat, but I don't know if it sort of, like, hit me especially. Yeah, and then that whole ending sequence was kind of just like the opening sequence in that all the jokes suddenly started falling completely flat again, and it kind of got a bit rough there. Yeah.
To bring back the sandwich metaphor, you know, some decent, okay cold cuts, but with some very, very moldy Wonder White.
Yeah.
Not very moldy, maybe just, like, suspiciously hard. It's just like,
yeah.
is this
I was
all?
like, oh,
Like,
I'll keep eating it.
Borderline.
I mean, it doesn't smell bad, but this is like...
I don't see any mold.
How do you
But also
tell?
it's multigrain, so...
Let me Google. Let me see how you tell. Yeah,
What does mold look like? But did it feel like an episode? Are these the characters we know and love? Is this the show we know and love?
I mean, I don't think anyone's against type on this one. Bart's maybe a little too forced, as I said before, when he's just like, "Oh, I guess I'll ruin your day, Dad." It was just, yeah. But
I mean, I liked him locking away the fire extinguisher with the key that he had. Like, I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I like Marge earnestly trying to learn the language and Homer actually trying to be good at something because someone believes in him. He's done that before.
Yeah.
And I actually really appreciate that when Lisa gives her speech about Homer, she references a bunch of things that have actually happened in Simpsons history. And it's like, yeah. Fair enough.
It was very referential to former episodes, actually. Like, that's something I think that we've noted quite a lot in these later episodes, is that lack of looking back and that lack of reference
Or if they are looking back, it's a very point to it. Hey, remember this, kids?
Yeah, and there was still a little bit of that, but it felt more genuine. It felt more like, oh no, there's a through line with all of this, you know?
Yeah, I actually had to write down, oh yeah, they've been to Brazil before, that's right.
And yeah, with Lisa mentioning the red card from I think it's like a season 18 episode. And yeah, it wasn't, like you were saying, one of those things where they're like, hey, remember this? Like, it's not like, in the sandwich thing, like Skinner brought up steamed hams or anything. It's, it's surprisingly high integrity on this episode.
I mean, the pig in the sandwich was still Spider Pig, but like...
Yeah, since the movie, all pigs are Spider Pig
also,
in Simpsons universe.
Also real rich of, like, anyone at The Simpsons or Fox to be ragging on HBO for diminishing returns. Fox? Really?
No, like... I feel like we're seeing it a lot lately with Simpsons just randomly shitting on other properties. And it's like, careful about throwing them stones in your glass house there, boy.
It's the problem of, like, they're used to punching up, but there's no more up to punch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they are the establishment.
It's like, who do we attack now?
And also they're stealing the riff off South Park and Family Guy, who, you know, did it first and better, really.
But yes or no, would you watch this episode again?
I'd give it a pass for Hangover, or maybe like a laundry playlist. If it's on, it's passable. I'm not going to shut it off, but I'm not going to seek it out at all.
I like Laundry List. That's a nice one. Like, also, like, I did write down that the laundry throwback was good. That weird joke that they had about the World Cup and everyone at the tiny laundry being super excited. And then right as the World Cup kicked off, it cut back to them going, yay! It was like, yeah, that's nice. Yeah, I think if you were to Clockwork Orange me, like I wouldn't sort of hurt myself trying to get away. I think I'd just sort of be like, all right, this is, I can.
They strap you in for the Ludovico technique, and you're like, oh, okay.
All right, yeah. I don't know really what you're trying to, get into my brain, but sure.
Yeah, it's not causing brain damage, or you don't feel sore from watching.
Yeah, I feel less of an impulse to hit people, but I can't quite give that to this episode.
But, no episode's perfect, especially I think we've mentioned a lot of things that aren't perfect about this one. So let's get into what we'd change. BT, we'll start with you. What would you like to change about this thing?
I guess structurally, I don't have any real problems. I do like that they do bring everything back. So that's what really struck me as being quite good about this one. I think it's just the blow by blow could just be a little bit, a little bit funnier, a little bit more joke heavy. Could tighten up those dogs a little bit. Just it's all
sure.
It all works. Just another couple passes of the script, kicking it around the writer's room. Just a little bit funnier.
How about you, David? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And also just like missed opportunities to kind of hit hard the way that they used to with the occasional satirical comment, like Homer talking about dying the American way. And it's like, this guy's pointing a gun at you, dude. You're dying the American way. Like, can we at least like hit that punchline, please? Because I think that would show that they've still got some cojones,
Yeah, instead he just says, the American way in a foreign country wearing shorts.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
That's the Australian way.
Yeah, especially in Bali or something.
Yeah, exactly. Embarrassing myself in front of another culture.
Saying it's a better life.
As for what I'd change, it's definitely, the starting and the ending are big problems. I agree.
I forgot, that's the thing, I forgot about that start. I would have said the start if I remembered it at all.
And I wish it was either, we need to get the kids actively interested in history, so let's make them do reports and perform them rather than get performers in.
Yeah,
I thought that was the easiest connection to make there, but they went via this sandwich thing. Or if it, like you said before, BT, if it started there, that's understandable. Springfield Elementary's always been underfunded, and there's plenty of commentary to make about, public school system in America. Getting sponsorship from takeaway places to stock their canteens. So, but the rest of it, I do wish it was a bit less Brazil focused and more soccer focused, because there is a lot to dig in with this corruption in soccer, and I do like the idea of Homer for once fighting against it and trying to be a better man for his daughter, but don't feel like they dug in deep enough with that at the same time.
Yeah, no, I totally get that.
Yeah, that's about my thoughts on that. I think it's time for any other notes time. It's time for our final notes.
Now it's time for our final notes. Everyone's final notes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Nailed it.
Just know the original music, I guess.
David, what are your final notes?
Well, I was just flicking over to Twitter to see if I could follow @TheMartinPrince. And he has 0 tweets, 668 followers, which I guess is the count of how many people have watched the episode.
Wow, I thought it'd be more.
Yeah.
That is...
Joined February 2014. So this might have been someone who got destroyed by this episode.
Right.
Oh, yeah, so that's they've never tweeted, they've deleted the tweets.
Yeah, they had tweets, and then they were like, what are you all saying to me? I can't.
Yeah.
Giving him shit for taking Lisa's subject.
What caught my eye actually was, because I was sort of conscious of the fact that we're on time restraints, and also because why would anyone put this level of detail into it? But the newspapers that they were showing in the early part of the episode, you see the headlines and everything, but you could see that they had full text written out. And it was like, is that attention to detail? Are there good jokes that we're missing there? Is it wasted effort? Or if you were to pause it there, is it just, lorem ipsum kind of filler?
Rhubarb.
Yeah.
Peas and carrots.
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised rather if they did went to the effort, because before in the classic era, they could only do the headline as a joke because they're working with such a... Yeah, they were working with such a small ratio that, it would have looked like squiggles anyway. But, now, maybe, if you zoom in enough on your 8K TV, you'll see they rework the works of Shakespeare, but with Homer instead of the other
What
guy.
else am I going to do in lockdown? You know, this is as valuable a use of my time as anything else.
We're rebranding the index to be Simpsons episodes 1 frame at a time.
3-hour breakdowns. And we mean that last word in more than one way.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say.
There's some nice Lisa moments. Like, it feels like a nice, genuine Lisa episode. I quite liked Madame Curie. We might just have this one in the bag.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Lisa referring to herself as Homer's only talking daughter. And yeah, there were a couple of lines that I quite enjoyed. I quite enjoyed Homer talking about Lisa's painting being pity-fridged. I didn't mind the bribe cam. I loved one of the bribers saying, your disbelief will fade with time.
That was good.
I did like with the bribe cam that, you know, because anytime they do a kiss cam and, you know, they do the awkward brother-sister and it's like, no. But yeah, the one guy's like, no, I'm not bribing. I'm not bribing.
Okay.
Fine.
Yeah.
And the crowd goes wild.
Yeah.
Probably the one that I will take and use in my daily life in context where people will never know the original point of the quote is just for that attitude, turbulence.
Yeah, I didn't like any of the lead up, but that, as your punishment, I enjoyed that. Yeah.
With the fish that swims up your pee stream as well, I still don't know if that's legit or not. I have been warned about that by someone in Peru, but I don't know if it's legit or not.
It's real. It's called the Kendaru. Fear it.
No. Yeah, I had it I was literally in the moment of I'm standing in this river, time for a sweet release. And he's like, by the way, don't pee. And I was like,
But now I have to stop midstream.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so uncomfortable.
I'm glad to hear that confirmed because I feel like it's one of those things that everyone has done their version of that now.
yeah.
The most graphic of which of being in Metalocalypse, but you know.
Oh, I haven't watched enough of that show, hey.
Fuck, I love it.
To be entirely fair, I don't think it goes up the stream. You could just more that it's drawn to the warmth water and therefore can end up in you.
Well, I thought that was the thing, that it traveled so fast that it could go against, you know, the human-made current.
Oh, but I mean, if you're standing, it's not going up that current.
Again, that's my new band name,
Sure.
The Human-Made Current.
It doesn't climb waterfalls, is my point.
Right, but if you are in a lake and you happen to pee, the thing will get attracted to you. All right, this has gotten very disgusting.
And now the
was that all
human-made
your
current
notes?
with you can't climb waterfalls.
Yeah, I think the only other joke that I had was about the weird Nazi joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nazi harborers, Nazis, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you're both right. Oh, okay. Yeah. America, moral superiority is back, I guess.
Yeah.
The year of our Lord 2016?
Yeah.
You're really at your best.
Yeah. Nazis are about to get weird for you guys.
How about you, BT? Any other notes?
Only a couple. First of all, I realized another benefit of recording in lockdown is I can fart as much as I want without worrying about disturbing my co-hosts. So that's nice. We're not all locked in the same room.
Was that being able to appropriately respond to some of the weaker moments of this episode?
No, I mean, I literally did while Molloy was talking. And I'm like, oh, that's nice. I don't have to worry about,
Oh, during the podcast.
Yeah. I thought it was maybe I hit too many of your notes and it was a fear response. It's I got nothing to say.
I always have more notes. And if not, I'll just make something up. I do like that. We're down to a real nail biter. It's 1 goal with 28 minutes to go. Okay. That's
An insurmountable lead of 1 goal.
That's right. My other note was a bit I really liked with, they try to bribe Homer and he says no and he leaves. He goes, oh, don't worry, we have other ways, and pulls out a gun. And the guy's like, what other ways do we have other than money and guns? He's like, we have 2 very good ways. I liked it.
Yeah. That's my objective opinion.
That's fine.
Comedy's a spectrum, isn't it?
It was just a little bit Spanish Inquisition,
Right.
So.
And that was all your notes?
And that was all my notes.
All right. I do like the low of Homer's mood is eating food off service trays that have been left outside hotel doors. And although it didn't need it, just the person coming out, what are you doing? It's okay, I'm American. Oh, fine.
Yeah.
There was something about that exchange that was so bizarre, I found it funny.
Yeah.
I had the same reaction.
And similar with Krusty Burger randomly belting the Amazon, and then Mr. Teeny hatching the plan with the rest of the monkeys to bite him.
I found that sequence so rough. And maybe it's just maybe now I'm being hypocritical because it's kind of oh, now they're actually biting, and I'm like, oh no, that hurts.
Yeah. No, I think it's an episode that contains things that'll hit differently. But anyway, let's reduce it down to a couple of medals when we rank this thing. Fucking hell, I walked up a staircase to do that one.
He did. You get a gold for effort.
Thank you. Gold. On the Simpsons Index, we rank using our 6-point scale, which starts down the bottom at failure. Maybe if the episode was just, you give it a participant. But for the positive rankings, you got okay, bronze, good silver, excellent, gold. But for the best of the very best, the episodes which The Simpsons could not exist without, you give cubic zirconia. I'm going to go first. Let me show you how it's done. Yeah, I guess I'm more up on this episode than I was expecting. And I have been really the participants border just sort of going between them like Homer, Australia, America, Australia, America.
Yep.
I'm going to land on a part, I think. It's just, there was some good stuff, but it just didn't live up to it enough for me. So part for me. David, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm definitely like struggling on that exact same border. God, like some of those lines are some real bronze material, but if it is a bronze, it's a shameful bronze. So I think it's going to be probably a participant. Yeah.
All right, and BT, finish her off.
I mean, let me just be the echo chamber here, because I want to give it more than participant, because it's competent, and I really appreciate that. But I don't think I got a really good laugh the entire episode, and I do appreciate that it held most of its parts together. But that said, there are some jokes that the three of us just like, what even was that? Why are my dogs tight? What is going on?
Yeah, the tight dogs really dropped it a whole rank, hey? Well, Straight off the podium.
There are a few bits where I'm just like, oh, like even when we were talking about, I'm going to die the American way in a foreign country in shorts, it's like, that was your best line. Your best, so yeah. It's so close, and that's what's heartbreaking, but participant.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head, Beach. It's just like this script clearly needed a few more passes, but like it's so much more forgivable than the other ones where we've gone, that's an obvious first draft.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Shameful bronze, but a shiny participant.
Well, it's a unanimous participant.
Yeah.
Well,
unless you did want to give it a bronze.
Fuck me, I guess. No,
that's
I'm good.
That's the way math works, Molloy.
Yeah, and it'll be the 6th episode from season 25 to get a unanimous participant. It'll be joining Yellow Subterfuge, where it starts out with that whole Skinner Django parody.
Right. Yeah.
Diggs, where Bart gets into falconry with a Daniel Radcliffe type. Brick Like Me, the Lego episode, and the Yellow Badge of Cowards, which is an episode I'm failing to remember right now.
I think it's something to do with Santa's Little Helper.
I think it's like fireworks. I don't know if you were there for that one, Beach. I don't know.
I do remember. I think I was, because I remember struggling with that title.
Yeah. Oh, and YOLO, but that was a participation by split decision with our good friend Michael Swaim. Good friend of the show, best friend, in fact. He loves us.
Yep, we love him.
All right, guys, it's time to do the next episode, and we're going to go watch Season 14's 3 Gays of the Condo. We will be back. And I've got waveforms.
14. Okay, yes, I have... Waveforms, yes.
Waveform? Yeah, there's my waveforms.
Wonderful. All right.
Gonna be some peeking in this episode.
I know, right? And we are back, and we just watched a Teens Era episode. This was Season 14, Episode 17, 3 Gays of the Condo. First released in April of 2003, it was directed by Mark Kirkland, written by Matt Warburton. In this episode, after doing a massive jigsaw puzzle, Homer finds out that Marge was thinking about leaving him after he got drunk at Moe's grand opening, and he goes and lives with 2 gay guys, and then the episode's pretty well about that. Hey, y'all, what did we think?
I feel underqualified to comment on aspects of this episode.
I feel qualified. Fuck this episode and everything in it.
You promised peeking. There is peeking.
Jesus H. Macy.
Okay, I just want to say the jigsaw opening, I had a lot of fun with this. And then that fun was just fucking booted out the window.
Like the first 2 acts, I'm like, okay, we're doing the Homer, does Marge really love Homer thing? We've done this so many times, but okay. But yeah, the jigsaw was fun, and then even the elements of the argument, because I do like that Homer says, have you always resented me? And Marge is like, yeah, a little bit. You're like, okay, you actually kind of feel for both of them at that point. That's some pretty heavy stuff.
Thank you for actually hitting us with some truth there. Like, good on
she's
you.
not been like, oh, I've come to accept you or anything. It's like, no, she's like, yeah, a little bit of me has always had a problem. It's like, that's, wow, okay, we're going there. we do not go there. We go some other
Sure.
places.
That it puts so much of the onus on her to make this situation right. Is
I
just
know, that's...
so bad.
Yeah. It's full on gaslighting, like, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, she's gaslit by fucking Lisa.
Yeah.
Lisa! She is like, it's, oh God.
Yeah.
I'm so enraged.
It's one of the things about this episode that, has always stuck weird with me is that line from Lisa is that, I know Dad cares about you, but his feelings are really hurt. It's
Yes.
just, just say you're sorry. And it's like, no.
Yeah, but that's the other thing. They almost swing it back when we're going to meet, we're going to have this date, and then Homer gets drunk and doesn't show up. And you're like, and Marge storms off angry. Like, okay, we're swinging this back around to her side. And then no.
Yeah. I actually, like, you talked about qualifications for it before, BT. I actually feel like I am, without going into too much detail on it, very, very, very overqualified for this particular episode. And, like, the way that they deal with the dynamic between Marge and Homer is the worst I have ever seen it. And it is genuinely, like, I think it's dangerous, honestly, because it's that kind of, like, it comes from that era of thinking around, like, relationships of, like, oh, they're not perfect, but you stick with them. And it's like, that's the dynamic that has led to a lot of women staying with their partner until their partner kills them. Like, you know, not to bring the tone of the podcast down too much, but I feel like the rhetoric of this episode is so poisonous. Like, it's awful.
Yeah, if you love him, stand by him no matter what.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's intentional, but it feels like there's just a tiny amount of, like, Grady trying to seduce Homer, and that feels pretty insidious as well.
Yeah. They just wanted to throw that in for the trailer. Like, guess what happens this week on The Simpsons? You're like,
That was the point. I nearly shoved the laptop off there.
But no, fully, it's like one of those Lady Gaga kissing Marge moments. It's like, oh, how did we get here? And it's like, oh, through a bad episode, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's hook into this fucking thing. BT, we'll start with you. For better or worse, what's something that stands out to you?
We now have two possibilities for a playlist that I'm just going to throw to now. Actually, no, three. Holy shit.
All right. Getting the playlist question out of the way.
I know. Lenny's eye. He's not supposed to get jigs in it.
Yeah, I did like that.
Oh, it's so good. What's with the deranged look? And oh man, the jigsaw was so much fun. Why did it go so bad?
It was like it was a better start than the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, that's the same with Lenny getting the pudding in the eye, because that ends in the Homer panda rape episode.
Oh God! Okay, so maybe Lenny's eye is the real red flag. Like,
Maybe. I mean, I haven't thought about that, but now I'm terrified. Let's see. Before the episode goes too horrid, there's a bit where they're like, how do we tell you this, Homer? We have an active social life. And I say, oh, me too. I have a card where if you get a sub sandwich, they punch the card, and then you get one more sub sandwich, and then I get a free sub sandwich. First of all, I love his line delivery of just how excited he is about that.
Yeah.
And also, it's another fucking Jared reference.
another fucking Jared reference.
Yeah. It used to have the commercial with that guy who was fat, now he's just ugly. It's like, okay, so you made that other episode 13 years after. It's like,
13 years.
Yeah,
Yep.
It's crazy. And you know what the other crazy thing is? The next episode I've got lined up with you also works with this playlist.
Are you fucking... How? Did you plan this?
This was a Jared
No,
playlist.
I did not. I did not realize
What
there'd
are
be a
the-
subway thread running through these three.
It's definitely, look, it's on the fucking Gunning for Dave's ass playlist for sure.
I gotta do some math here, because I was about to say what are the odds, but we know, because there's 700 episodes of The Simpsons.
If only there was some sort of index we could reference.
So it's 700 times 699 times 698. So there was a 1 in 341 million chance of getting a Jared playlist. Anyway.
I like those odds.
Yeah.
What was your other playlist?
Hibbert's hair through the ages. I always liked that every
Did
time we
love
go
that.
to the Hibbert in the past, he's got a different hairstyle, and this continues that trend.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he'd be rocking a Rodman, given the timing and everything. Yeah.
I'm not going to pretend like I know anything about hair, so sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm only familiar with Dennis Rodman because I watched WCW in the 90s. 'Cause what a weird era. Rodman and Hulk Hogan were a tag team, and they had a match against...
Yeah.
I think it was Jay Leno and Diamond Dallas Page.
I only know about this because of The Last Dance, but yeah, that was,
Oh, yeah,
that was a
that's
good
right.
chunk of that show.
Yeah, because he was missing practice and shit to go hang out with the
Yeah.
wrestlers. How about you, Molloy? What stands out to you from this episode for better or worse or worse or worse?
Sorry, I might
Yeah.
want to just turn your mic down before he starts yelling.
I think that's probably not a bad idea. Yeah, I quite enjoyed A Place to Put My Spiders. There was a couple of little moments like that, and like you were saying, a solid opening, and then we just dropped straight into it. I really thought we're going to get like some actual comeuppance and sort of analyzing of Homer's actions, but he immediately puts his addiction on Marge and then gaslights his kids into being on his side. And it's so much more than just like, oh, he's goofy and a little bit ignorant and a little bit, like thoughtless or selfish or whatever. It's like, oh no, he's a danger. Like he is a really, really bad person. Or even to like take out the gaslighting part of it is a bad person, but like, he's a sick person at the very least. Like this is a person with a very serious problem. And all of the jokes around that were just either like really cheap or again in that kind of like semblance of just being too dark to really work for the subject matter. Like they never quite found that. There were older episodes that had darker jokes that landed because they were just better constructed. And all of the darkness in these just don't, because they try and then paper it over and say, oh, don't worry, Marge still loves him. As if that's somehow a
As though that
solution
was
for...
the point.
Yeah. Like it's somehow on her to go and get Weird Al Yankovic to sing an underwhelming parody song to fix their like...
Yeah.
I
Anyway,
mean, I think, the Weird Al song over the credits really summed it up. They got over their schism, but the dude never dealt with his alcoholism.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And nor did the series or any of the writers.
Yep.
Just on that quickly, apparently they had to call Weird Al back because one of the original lines in the Weird Al credit song was, and now we've got time to fill, so why don't you go pee before King of the Hill? But then Fox changed their scheduling and put King of the Hill before The Simpsons, and so they were like, Weird Al had fun on this show, even if it was just a brief cameo.
Right.
Well, that's arguably better anyway.
It is. It's a better joke.
Well, yeah, and I agree with the underwhelming parody, and it's just not a cute play on Jack and Diane. It's just a couple of cheap fat jokes at Homer. And
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, I love Weird Al Yankovic so much,
totally.
but like, I never listen to Fat and fucking Eat It anymore. Like,
Yeah, those times have passed, right?
yeah. No, there is some Weird Al stuff that doesn't date particularly well, but he's always been a bit good-natured, which also the line that he has, after Homer went gay, they patched up their skiz, like, he didn't go gay, like...
You didn't go gay.
You don't
Not
go
even
gay.
for pay.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, which I think brings me to the big thing that stood out is like... When you first mentioned this episode, just the name of it, because it had gays in the name, I immediately went to, it's the one with the steel mill and the guy in the Hawaiian shirts and that whole, like, Homer confronting his homophobia thing with Bart.
And zap.
Yeah, which is, like, an episode that I remember being pretty enjoyable. I haven't seen it in a long time, so I don't know how well it aged.
We saw it not too long ago. It holds.
Yeah, good.
It's
Yeah, that's kind of
surprisingly,
what I thought.
like, there is some 90s, maybe would have changed that wording, but no, overall, like, and we think it was because John Waters was a consultant on that episode.
Yeah, right.
This episode doesn't feel like it had.
No.
A lot of cliches on this one.
This feels like they paid their consultant to go and gay bash John Waters. Like, this is... God, like, and particularly, so I think that's the thing that made me just frustrated and sad about it was that sense that, like, that first episode with that character we were talking about before, like, it paints him stereotypically, and it does paint other, like, gay characters stereotypically, but they're like, they're quite an affectionate stereotype. Here it just feels like a recycling of that. It's just the same stereotypes again. Like, they've learned nothing in the preceding years. I don't know what kind of, like, if there's any queer writers on The Simpsons at all, or if they didn't have any outward consultancy, but the main thing that any queer writer would have said is, what the fuck is he kissing him for?
Yeah.
Like, what possible reason is there for that except, gay guy must like dudes?
Yeah.
Like, it's grotesque, really. Like,
Well, he said he liked his breakfast, and that was about it.
Like, that was the point at which I just literally had no more time for this episode whatsoever.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
the guy
fair.
playing Grady, that person in question, was Scott Thompson. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Kids in the Hall. I'm not really.
Nope.
But yeah, I mean, he is an out-and-out gay man, but yeah, we don't have that similar nuance with John Waters having a pass at the script on Homer's phobia, because apparently Homer originally said the F word in that script.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yep.
The one
He
that
said fuck?
No, the one that Matt Damon, his daughter, taught him not to say. Topical.
I did think that was quite a timely pick. I actually, in defense of Matt Damon's daughter, I did have the same conversation with my father. So,
Yeah, we all have to, unfortunately, with our family members.
Jesus.
But on that as well, apparently Harvey Fierstein was asked to reprise his role. He played Carl, the assistant, in when Homer got the
right.
Medoxanil and all the hair. And just reading from Wikipedia here, Fierstein said, the script was a lot of very clever gay jokes, but there just wasn't that Simpsons twist. He turned down the role and he elaborated saying, basically Homer just had a lot of fun hanging out with gay men, drinking in bars, dancing at discos and all that, but there was nothing. There was no commentary there. Every restaurant had a silly gay name. The gym had a silly gay name. All the double entendres, obviously. And I said, anybody could do this. You're the fucking Simpsons. Do something we've never seen before.
Oh, well said.
Dude.
Harvey Fierstein on fucking fire.
Well said. Yeah, but I think to add to Firestein's thing as well, it's not just that they're not doing anything new or anything clever or bringing any humanity whatsoever to those characters. What they're also doing by adding that kiss scene in at the end is they're putting in the exact gay panic fear that leads to people being beaten. That was a fucking defense for murder in America for a long time. I think in some states it still is.
In I think it was Northern Territory up until 4 years ago.
Fuck
shockingly recently.
Yeah. And so this is exactly the conversation I don't want to be having on an episode where I'm, on a show where I'm talking to my friends about the cool comedy show that we liked.
Yeah.
None of these things are being brought up in a context where it's this show did something, impressive or brave by addressing these things. They took all the cheapest routes. They did a poor job on those cheap routes. And I think this entire thing is just completely morally reprehensible. I'm so angry.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I promise the next one will bring us back up.
No, that's
I
fine.
promise.
It's absolutely not on you whatsoever.
We've got some excellent cartoons coming up, kids, I swear.
Excellent pull. Well done.
Sorry, what are you going to say, Paige?
Oh, no, it was something to diffuse the situation. I don't know why.
I did like that marriage is a constant battle for moral superiority.
Yeah.
But she'd already won the fucking battle.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, even though what stands out to me, even though I was saying, I really enjoyed the opening of this one, it still starts with a fucking bummer of a joke. It's Homer's I'm really excited. I hope it's as fun as Pictionary last week. And the kids are
I forgot about that.
Dad, that was a intervention for your drinking. So this is an episode that has memory and has Homer's drinking being a problem built into the script and fucking does nothing about it.
Yeah. I forgot about that intro. God damn.
Yeah. And even though at the end people had forced him to get drunk or tempted him or whatever, his impulse control is never called into question. And he's shown in this episode as being a horrible drunk. He's literally leaving his beer cans and fucking eggshells on the floor.
And it also places the fault on the gay characters then as well, because not only are they enabling him, not only are they putting him in a situation where he misses that date night, they're also then trying to coax him into their lifestyle. It's fucked.
Yeah. Dear. Play count. Have we seen this one before?
I mean, yes.
Nope.
It used to actually be on my Elliot Stoner Simpsons playlist, and I recorded this one just because I had such a big love for Weird Al, and it's one of these episodes like the Bart of War where it was a whatever episode at the time, but it's only in reflecting and learning, it's no.
When you really do the critical watch, you're like, wait a second.
No, I totally get that. And I also I totally get as well from a non-queer perspective how it could seem like a pretty kind of kind of episode.
Well, at the time, I'm fucking 12 or 15.
Exactly. You've got no reason to be going, this is all terrible.
Yeah, I think it does a bit in the sense that Homer's having fun with these guys and he's going out dancing and it's all fine. And yet that does a lot to make it not seem like a problem until you start pulling it apart.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's also like it's trying to be the Homer goes gay episode, and like it just doesn't mesh.
Yeah, it's like it's not like smoking a joint, you fuckwits. Like,
but how was the wackiness in this one? What were some of the cartoony moments that stood out to us?
I actually don't have any notes of whack in particular. I will say Lisa is once again reading Clue in the Clock, which is the one that has so many swears.
Oh, right.
So I thought
See,
it was a nice
I did
pull.
like that joke that she was reading him the bedtime story.
Yeah.
And I do like a good one-way conversation joke. And yeah, that line, no, Dad, I'm sure she won't be killed. Like, that was pretty funny to me.
which is also, that's aged well because she was recently killed.
Nancy Drew was.
Yes.
Oh,
What?
in fiction or
That
in
got
life?
hard
In
real.
fiction, she was fucking killed.
Wait, what?
Yeah. No, I'm serious. I'm not joking.
That is,
Who shot Nancy Drew?
Yeah, a little bit.
the mystery no one will solve because she was the one who solved the mysteries. Maybe
It's
it's
probably one of those things where it's like she quote unquote died at the
Yeah.
beginning and then it turns out she didn't. But like, yeah, 100%. I saw that pop up somewhere. It's like they killed Nancy Drew.
yeah. Now all we've got left is Encyclopedia Brown.
Boo.
And he can't solve that one. He's an idiot.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple of cartoony moments. Like, I did like the animation of the jigsaw being poured out and,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, yeah.
tapping the already upside down box. Some good shit
And
there.
just how many jigsaw pieces came out of that. There's a bit where we cut back to like the medieval times where Marge is meant to be meeting Homer and comic book guy is just being carried away on a stretcher with a spear in his stomach.
I did
So
like that,
Have
something
either of
went
you
down
guys
there.
been to a medieval times restaurant? Are they a thing in Australia?
I mean, we probably gave it a shot somewhere, but we
Yeah.
probably just don't have the demographic who'll go once and then never again, you know?
Sure. But just on animation moments, this episode won an Emmy for Outstanding Animated Program.
Go fuck yourself. Go
And-
completely fuck yourself,
They
Emmys.
just give it to The Simpsons. We've covered
Yeah.
this so many times before where they've been up against modern, really good animated series, and there's like, whatever, The Simpsons, give it to them.
And sorry to like just make us even more of a bummer. That year, it beat out As Told by Ginger, Kim Possible, SpongeBob SquarePants, and Futurama. It also beat,
Yeah.
for their episode, Jurassic Park.
Oh,
Fuck
off.
me. Are you kidding? Are you kidding?
One
You
of
know,
the arguable fucking best episodes of Futurama.
The one that makes people
Agreed.
bleed tears.
Yeah. And this was more of a bummer than that.
Yeah.
Different reasons.
Yeah. So anyway, so how about the heart of this episode? Fucking hell, Mike. Just throw the questionnaire out. This sucks.
I mean, my only note of heart was the one I already mentioned where Homer says, our entire marriage you've been secretly resenting me, and Marge says, well, yeah, a little bit. Like, again, that had such promise. I remember this episode well
Yeah.
enough to know that they weren't going to cover that. But the promise of that at that point of they're actually going to touch on some pretty heavy stuff. I'm like, okay, cool. Wow, that's got, you know, the feelings. I wouldn't call it heart as in love, you know, fun feelings, but, you know, real emotion to that.
Yeah. And it totally, it felt legit. Like the delivery on it, particularly, I think she really sold that.
Yeah. The other thing with the heart that really rubs me the wrong way is that they, for no particular reason, they put this fight 2 days before Marge finds out she's pregnant. And that
Yeah.
kind of sullies the nice moment of them, you know, fucking in the golf course windmill.
Oh, yeah, true.
Dr. Hibbert going, I think we know why I've been experiencing nausea, and congratulations. Doe.
Yeah. And the retcon is the least worst thing about it.
Yeah. But ultimately, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons? Are the characters behaving like themselves? Yeah,
Nope.
we answered this.
In a terrible way, yes, in terms of latter-day Simpsons,
Yeah.
where they do
Sure.
have these moments. I mean, earlier when David was saying, you know, that it was the most reprehensible he's ever seen Homer, it's like, you haven't seen the one where he crashes the car and puts Marge in the driver's seat, have you?
Whoa. No, honestly, I think this is worse.
While drunk, and Marge was drunk, and she gets charged for drunk driving.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the subtext of this, I would say, is worst, but the text of that one is worse. So which one's
Yeah.
worse overall? I don't know.
Yeah, and even, like, yeah, just Lisa and Bart just going, just apologize and not mean it. And,
Fuck me. Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't seem like them. There's just no nuance in the show.
For something that had that moment of you can't just patch over problems because they'll cause problems later on, to then have that bit in it's boiling in anger I didn't know it was there, so that's fun.
Yeah. Not that, you know, I expected The Simpsons to be kind of like the moral barometer for society, but this feels like a really, really haunting measure of where we were at that point in time.
Yeah, but I mean, to bring it back to Homer's phobia, it's like watching that is like, oh, that dates well. And then this one is just like, oh, that was like 7 years after, and this is just, that dated the second it got out in the gate.
Oh, sure, but like,
people.
Fucking Some Like It Hot is more woke than this.
Anyway, what would you like to change about it, David?
Literally everything after the puzzle. Every word, every action, everything. But the main thing is, like, if you are going to acknowledge the toxic dynamic in the relationship, fix it or break it. Don't just pander like that and act like the reset button is going to cover that up. You can't. Like, that's horrific. And also stop being homophobic, for Christ's sake.
BT?
Yeah. I mean, I think we've already yelled most of these points, but yeah, just... I realize they have to get back to Homer being a guy who drinks because that's part of the character and that's been there forever. But there has got to be something you can do. Think of the one where he gives up beer for a month, and that's really good and impactful, and then has that bike ride with Marge at the end. Give us some kind of him meeting her halfway at least. And maybe there's a version of him hanging out with these guys in the apartment and having a good time. But do it differently. Get a consultant and bring them in, and maybe have him being, oh, look, it's fun partying and dancing all night with you guys, but I miss my family, and if I have to make a sacrifice for that, that's what I'm going to do. And then the music goes, na, 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 and everyone goes, oh, I don't know, something.
Yeah, like, you can have engagement with those characters. They just have to be real, and they have to not just, like, be in service of, oh, it must be nice to live this fun, easy life that all gay guys live. But also, like, I think to draw it back specifically to what happens in the episode, you mentioned the drawing at the top, the Pictionary drawing. And I feel like that's my entire issue with this, because you've always had this kind of, like, depiction of Homer as the kind of light edge of this huge, huge social problem we have. So, like, his alcoholism is very much part and parcel to the show. Like, I wouldn't say, oh, Homer needs to stop drinking. It's like, because, I understand that, and I understand the comment, and I think that in some ways can be noble, but in the way that they present it, and especially when it is a problem in his life, but, like, to really go to the depths of showing this is something that his children draw images of him making them cry.
Yeah.
And it's it was too many steps too far, where it stopped being about we can make this an underhanded social commentary and just became alcoholics are funny. Yeah. Like, it's no.
No, and I mean, on that as well, there's that, really rough suicide joke outside the bachelor's apartment as well. It's just... Yeah,
the sign 3 days without a suicide is one thing, to then have a gunshot and it sets to 0. It's like, ooh. I just wrote down, oof.
Miserable. Yeah. Like, where's the punchline?
No,
where's the comedy in that?
It's the derangement of the Simpsons. They're like Homer, who's been doing the jigsaw for too long. They've been doing the Simpsons and they're just shoving things in. Is this funny? Like,
and they said Marge said to him, "No scissors." They have not listened.
I really like that joke. That's how the pros do it.
Okay, yeah.
And coming into what I'd change, it's like, I wish Homer's petulance was kind of cold a bit more. Like, if you ever had the guy who, broke up with someone and it's just, they're on social media showing them working out or fucking having nice dinners or whatever. It's like, look how good I'm doing right now. I kind of wish there was a bit more of that, like, and less of, oh, Homer's doing stereotypical gay affectations now. I kind of wish he was acting out to try and get Marge's attention, like how much better I'm doing.
Yeah. It's like they missed that a large part of the point of Queer Eye is actually getting people to turn their lives around, not to just wear a different shirt.
No, exactly. All right, we are here. David, do you have any other notes about this episode before we finally rank this thing?
None I need to poison your dearest listeners' ears with any further.
BT?
I like Marge's early line of, like, it says fun for the whole family. Why would a box lie to a person? It's just that beautiful naivety.
I didn't mind ages 8 to 80 and Grandpa and Maggie. We know when we're not wanted.
Yep. Lenny and Carl come around like, Homer hasn't been to work. What happened to him? Is he a rodeo clown? Is he Poochie again?
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's...
Jigsaw, I guess he's done with all the fun stuff.
Yep. And he really, really was.
Homer has the line I kind of like of, what made you Judge Judy in execution? I'm like, that's a bit low fruit, but it worked. It got me.
And it was in Hot Fuzz as well. I wonder what was first. I'm going to look
Yeah,
that
I was
up.
going to say it's low fruit in the sense that it's fruit on the ground that is rotted.
Yeah.
Like,
I just never thought of it before.
Hot Fuzz did it in 07. Okay, so they ripped off The Simpsons.
yeah.
Okay, right. The one I liked and then immediately hated was Hans Moleman, who's like, oh, this isn't my army reunion. The moment where he's like, how could you possibly think it was? I like that as a joke. But then the guy walking up to him in the ripped army uniform's like, you're coming home with me. He's like, yes, sir. It's like, no, God.
Yeah,
I liked an adorable lost mole man kind of joke. That's fine, but
the fucking axe breaks in this one, because, that was the second one. And the first one is, Homer crying in Bart's bed where Bart's going, I'm in Disneyland. Woof.
yeah, again, darkness once more. Hello, darkness.
My old friend.
Yeah, get out of my Simpsons episode.
Or just like, don't even get out of the episode. Just serve a purpose.
Yeah.
Just serve a purpose rather than, oh, this is a bit of a mean joke, isn't it?
Yeah, darkness, if you're going to live here and not pay rent, you need to do something. So just sweep up or, I don't know, arrange the DVDs.
I only like darkness when they're with jokes. And when they're not with jokes, they're just kind of a bit much.
Yeah, you don't have anything to talk to them about. You're like, how's your job? Oh, you're darkness.
Small talk never works.
Yeah, they give you nothing. But when they're with someone else, it's great.
And my final notes. And especially as someone who in the last lockdown did a 3,000-piece Marvel jigsaw, there was some pretty fun, relatable jokes. And I always have the line in my head of, oh, these two pieces are already connected. We're halfway there. Like, I love that optimism.
As someone who got to watch that happen and not participate, it was funny.
Oh, you put together a Spider-Man.
It's true.
Remember, because
I found your last piece that was in the wrong spot as well.
Ah, that's right.
Ooh.
And I remember when you were sorting it out, we made the joke of J. Jonah Jameson, get me pieces of Spider-Man. The insanity of lockdowns. And in amongst all the bad stuff, like Homer going through the memories, I like, Marge kept that old business card I made to impress her. Homer Simpson, quarterback. And then when he's playing asteroids and being really gross and asking her to feed him nachos, I still love the line, tell that to the brave crew of the SS Triangle. Evil rocks. And stupid Flanders and his misleading silhouette. All right, that's all my notes. It's time to rank this thing. David, please kick it off.
You know where I'm at.
Yep. But for the viewers who are...
QB! No. This is a resounding failure.
All right, BT, what do you reckon?
Look, I'm going to be honest and admit that I came in not too down on this episode, and I thought the sensitive parts were going to be all the gay elements. That said, Molloy really kind of opened my eyes to the other aspects of this, which is the real kind of toxicity running through it. And then on top of that, you have all the gay panic stuff that even makes it worse. That moment that really kind of clicked into place for me was the very beginning where they have the alcoholism joke about the whole intervention, and like, oh yeah, they've been doing this the entire time, and it was subtle rage, but it got to rage, and I feel enlightened for it, and therefore also furious, so I will also give it a failure.
That makes you an ally. Thank you, BT.
I just wanted to admit that, look, I didn't even catch it at first, but...
No, totally. And again, like, I don't think people are at fault for that. I think, this is the thing. Unlike The Simpsons, many of us have grown.
Yeah. And I mean, it's one of those things where you can say, oh, well, it was of its time, but then, you're then drawn in with the point of comparison with Homer's phobia. And like, as memorable as a lot of the Jigsaw material has been for me, and like, even though some of those lines that I still use to this day, it just doesn't justify the rest of it, which just tanks it so fucking hard. And it is reminding me a lot of the Bart of War, which that one starts out with Bart and Milhouse discovering Ned's secret Beatles stash. And there's some like fun moments in there, and especially if you are a Beatles fan, it's very
I remember
referential.
that moment being fun, yeah.
But then they do the whole Boy Scouts, but they're aping Native American culture. And it's just, after that, it's a whole bunch of discomfort that it's a fucking bummer. And nothing as great as Weird Al can save this fucking thing. It is a failure from me, making that a unanimous failure. We are giving this the index finger! It will be the second episode from season 14 to get a unanimous failure. It will be joining the Bart of War. So another interesting thing with this was the last season 14 episode The Simpsons Index are reviewing.
Woo! We ticked off another season.
Yeah, that
did.
sounds like a good thing.
And the final overall ranking from the season was dependent on this episode because it was right on the shiny bronze border. Mm-hmm. And yep, that unanimous failure ranking has brought it right down to a bronze average all around.
All right.
So yeah, we had the lows of the Bart of War and 3 Gays of the Condo, but the highs of Bart versus Lisa versus the third grade.
Okay, that one is pretty good.
All right, let's just get to the classic era and let's bathe in the classic era. Let's just wash ourselves with this.
Still not clean. Still not clean.
I don't want to editorialize, but it is a fucking stone cold classic. We are going to watch season 6's Bart versus Australia.
Ah, yes.
We will be back. And we are back, and we just watched our classic and final episode for the evening. This was Season 6, Episode 16, Bart vs. Australia. First released in February of 1995, it was directed by Wes Archer, written by Bill Oakley and Josh Weinstein. In this episode, it's Bart vs. Australia. He takes us fucking down a few pegs. Hey, y'all, what do we think?
Okay, so during this part of the podcast, we each get 2 candy apples. All right, 1 candy and 1 caramel.
Caramel.
I feel like I've just done a cleanse.
I know, it's like a nice steamy hot bath.
My
It feels
pores
so
are open. Like,
I'm exfoliated.
I'm ready to love again.
yeah.
No, this was great. But yeah, fun fact, me and BT have actually already reviewed this on podcast form. We were on Worst Episode Ever, which picked this episode. They normally do post-classic bad episodes exclusively, but apparently the Simpsons fandom argue that this is the start of a bad trend with Simpsons for the go-to episode, because this was their first, which is weird when you think about it. It's like, wow, they really went far for their first go-to. Mm-hmm. So yeah, absolute delight to revisit this one. I'm sure you agree, BT.
It's also kind of nice that we don't, like, we're the country that's allowed to laugh at this one. No one else.
Yeah.
But we're allowed to.
And that's, like you see that as the difference between the Brazilian episodes, right? Because you saw the response from Brazil, whereas we're like, yes, pile it on. Like, we deserve your scorn.
Well, the other thing is, I think this episode actually pokes more jokes, like, at America than it does Australia.
For sure.
Like, the Australia jokes are more sort of goofy and things, but, like, Molloy, what do you think of this one? Had it been a while since you'd seen it, or...?
It's been ages and ages since I've seen this one, but it's definitely, like, one of the ones that I have seen the most of any Simpsons episode, because it was on heaps and heaps, and it's great. Like, it's untouchable. Like, it's so much fun. I mean, it's not untouchable. There's some age things we'll get to, but, like, yeah, it's just so much fun, and, like, the wackiness is really there in a way that, like, you can see the animators having so much fun. You can see the voice actors having so much fun, even as they grapple with some of the worst accents the show's ever produced. But, like,
oh my, yes.
Yeah, that's the common complaint is that, it sounds more like they're from South Africa than it does that they're from Australia.
Specifically, like, I can't believe...
And sometimes Irish.
Yeah, I can't believe... But at least that's closer, though. Like,
True.
I can't believe the kid, like, he sounds straight up like he's from New Zealand. Like,
hello, sir.
Return from the Coolamagarees, please.
Also, he is now, like, the most foul-mouthed meme.
I'm glad you brought that up because, when we reviewed this on Worst Episode Ever, they're an American podcast, so I wanted to show them the weird fucking subculture of Simpsons Tobias memes, and they were baffled. Like... Hey, Tobias, there's that bird you'd like to argue with. Well, if it isn't that fucking bin chicken. Listen, cunt, it's not enough to scab the trash. You have to earn it.
Yes.
Yeah.
The cracking open of a good tinny is like a good finger blast. Just skull the fucking tinny.
Yeah, I saw a play recently called Dear Australia, and there was a monologue that was from, like, an Australian high school kid, and it legit began with the line... Oi, cunt, don't be a dumb cunt.
Sorry, I just scrolled past another one. Tobias is Ralph with the card, I'd root ya.
That's extremely good.
Hey, well, I mean, was it Queensland just got the Olympics?
Yeah,
Yes.
Brisbane.
Mascot Tobias bringing back? Welcome, cunts.
Show your support for our team and shelve some pingers.
And then fuck off.
Oh, so yeah, we can have fun at ourselves.
Yeah, totally.
So, David, for better or worse, what is a moment that stands out to you from this episode?
For some reason, like when the blackboard came up, the blackboard gag, I really thought it was saying, "I will not hang dong." I really misread that. I will not.
What
hang,
was it?
I will not hang donuts on myself, which is actually not far off. Just hanging dong.
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
Wow.
There's only so many places that can be hung. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as a quick play to plug the Patreon, we've started a new show called Storyboarding the Chalkboard, where we're working on the theory that every chalkboard gag is actually an unreleased episode of The Simpsons.
Oh, sure.
So, yeah.
And what's the plot line of that episode?
Really thought you were going to say we've got a new podcast called Places to Hang Your Donut.
It's only like 5 episodes, but you're going to learn a lot.
Yeah, they're 3 hours each. They're deep.
Subscribe now on patreon.com/SideQuest Studios. What were you saying, David? Sorry.
I think the thing is always with a great episode is like discovering new things that either you never knew were there or are just like seeing with almost completely fresh eyes. Things like the visual gags of the 2 American soldiers eating the flag.
Yeah. Like carefully folding it up.
Yeah. Incredibly respectfully eating the flag.
As is tradition.
Yeah, as is tradition. The Parliament House de Australia.
Yeah.
With the AL added in, clearly still. Like,
like they got the building at a fire sale or something for
Yeah,
the garage sale for Austria.
a couple of those sort of like, because they also had the, you know, the Hitler reference in the Southern Hemisphere.
Yeah.
Das Wagenphone ist Nuisancephone.
Another fucking weird playlist. I didn't know we'd be doing a Nazi harboring playlist, but fucking there you go.
You never think of these things, and yet.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. I think the other thing that stood out is that it has, for the most part, I guess because of the target of the jokes, it has aged really pretty well. And the only things that I think haven't aged well was stuff that, like, you know, at least from my own perspective, when I was the age, when I first watched this, most of the stuff that I would look at now and be like, oh, that's a bit rough, is like stuff that I had no concept of back then. So it's unlikely that an American audience would. And it's mostly just like, you know, there's one representation of an Aboriginal person in the mob chasing them, which is not great. But like, that's kind of it. Like, you know, for the most part.
Yeah, but it's also done with like everyone as Mad Max as well. So
Yeah.
like it's almost like really leaning in on the joke is that Americans are culturally unaware, which I think this episode hits on a lot.
Totally. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so you can go from, you know, the Opera House to Uluru in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Or have like, you know, a tourism store that has the sign, "It's a high quality."
I missed that. Nice.
Oh, that
There's
was
like
great.
a guy in a sombrero. It's like, what is happening with...
I did like the cultural centre that outside had the sign of "Cart your ass on in."
I missed that.
So, again,
God, this is
Brisbane.
good.
Brisbane, if you're thinking of slogans.
Count your ass on in. Just
And for the
$40
gymnastics.
dues for a seat.
Yeah. Dollary dues. There was actually a change.org petition that got very far with that
Yeah.
to change our national currency.
The dollary dues.
You really can't trust
differentiate us,
democracy. I mean, like, this is also, keep in mind, Bodie McBoatface. You cannot trust the populace.
True. That started a bad trend of, blank McBlank face.
When it clearly should have been Bodie McFloaty. Fucking morons.
Democracy's fun.
I think the other thing that stood, speaking of like fucked political systems, I think the other thing that stood out to me was we need to bring back the boot. I think it's time.
There's a lot of people out there who need a good booting.
Yep.
Even if it's just a wingtip. Just I'd never get over the line, disparaging the boot is a bootable offense. Like...
And rock bottoms sell that flag.
That, as my ancestors would say, is a moray.
it's just a little kick in the bum.
And I mean, that's the other thing. And for our, majority of American audience that might not be aware, we got rid of capital punishment way before you guys did.
Yeah.
Hence, part of the overall joke of...
Yeah, I brought this up because Pam was just saying as well that she remembers this episode from having to study it in high school.
Oh,
and I was like, oh. And she was saying, they were basically showing us that it's satirical, and obviously most of the people in the class didn't really get that it was satire at the time. But it was also her geography class.
Weird.
Just an interesting place to learn about satire.
So the teacher had a hangover.
Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah. I
think you made that, Beach. I think you made that exact same joke when we reviewed Simpsons Bible stories. And I told you guys how my history teacher let us watch that one day. And I was like, putting it together, wait, that makes so much sense. This episode had nothing to do with what we were reviewing at the time.
Yeah, totally. Double English.
It's a known fact. When they wheel in the TV, when they're just like, nah, fuck it.
Yeah, double English on Mondays in Year 9 was always quiet reading week while our English teacher just sat there with her fingers on her temples, just like,
Kahlua.
At least they can hide their image in Zoom.
And also they're on the I guess go-to episodes, right? The convict gags about us, that just plays better here than it does with Brazil, right?
Yeah.
Again, it's that punching up, punching down kind of thing. I guess because the people it's punching on in that gag are white, so it feels less helps. Targeted.
No, and it's done in that goofy way where they're just kind of like a zombie horde. But then they're also kind of like Boos from Super Mario that once you look at them, they're like,
oh no.
That's the way crime works.
Oh, I'm shy.
We'll pinch your pocketbook, but we are very shy.
Yeah. I will say, just to get it out of the way, the big negative for me is just the Lindsay Chamberlain joke. Yeah. And that's just another thing where... at the time, the dingo ate my baby was the big quote. And then as time went on, we go, oh, wow, we really demonized that lady and she was totally innocent. Whoops.
Yeah.
Dingo ate her child and she went through the ringer. So it's one of those things where, it was probably just a quote like shrimp on the Barbie that got passed around. That was how you do an Australian episode.
Totally. And if you are meeting people from the UK a lot of the time, or people from the US, that's really kind of their first point of reference. And it's only really now that we're at the point of, I think, in large being hey, don't say that. Can you not? It's actually really bad.
Yeah. But no, other than that, such a fun time. BT, what stood out to you from...
there was...
Huh?
Okay,
Another
there was one, and this upset me.
Oh, no.
Foster's.
Yeah. I was going to leave offensive. That for the wackiness section because people drink Foster's in this. What?
Nope. Because I never thought I really liked beer until the whole craft beer revolution where we just didn't have these standard because Foster's, that's not even our Budweiser. That is so much worse.
Well, because Americans keep Budweiser.
Yeah.
We don't keep Foster's. So we get it the fuck out.
No, we sell it to the UK.
Yeah.
But that said, Stella Artois is their piss water, and that's it's European.
It's fancy,
so.
Yes. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that why I've never liked Stella?
Eurofizz was the quote I was told about it from an Englishman.
Which is European for piss water.
Yeah, it's the fancy British term. Need to go take a Eurofizz.
Go do that out in the Malanga Gilderchuck.
Gonna hang a donut while I do it.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. BT, what stands out to you from this episode?
Man, a quick playlist that you shouldn't make is Bart's phony apologies, which links in the last episode. But let's not talk about that one. Let's talk about Phil
no,
Hartman.
I wanted to dig in because this is showing how to execute the same joke, bad and good. But resolving it. Can't you just say a phony apology? I do it all the time. I'm sorry. See, it's that easy. Rather than this one where, he's laughing under his breath afterwards. That's a bit more cheeky and fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, the cheekiness, oh my God, the opening frame of this with them, racing bathroom products down the sink. They're kids. They're real kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Water doesn't follow your rules. It does what it wants, like me, babe.
I gotta say, despite the Coriolis effect, I think Bart backed the wrong horse. I don't think toothpaste would win against shampoo in that anyway.
I mean, there's only one way to find this out.
I was about to say, yeah.
Wait till lockdown ends and we race bathroom products.
And then fly to the US. and
Guys,
offend them
revelations
somehow.
have been made.
Oh, God,
Why didn't they cover that on Mythbusters?
During the phone call when he's like, "Oh, that was a call from the National
Drainage Commission in Springfield.
Drainage Commission in Springfield." Oh God, there's nothing wrong with the bidet, is there?
Yeah, just
Good.
perfect jokes.
Yep. Okay. No. The point
So-
I wanted to make was Phil Hartman. Goddamn. He doesn't really even have jokes here. It's all just delivery, especially his opening line of just, "Oh my, hello."
Yeah. He's already opened the door and knocking, going, knock.
Incredible. I was about to bring him up too. He is fantastic. He's probably, I think, he feels like the freshest thing for me on this watch because I'd forgotten about that character entirely, and he is
Me too.
joyous.
The second he showed up, I was like, fuck yes.
Talking about Americo-Australian relationships.
Yep. And here's where the Subway playlist comes in, because one of the slides in that was Subway, Vegemite footlongs, and I can't believe, I made a Subway playlist out of this. This
I
is
missed
fucking
it.
weird.
I was writing down my Phil Hartman praise and I missed it. I was wondering what the fuck were you talking about with Subway?
Yeah. So, all the slides, they're referencing various Australian things like Crocodile Dundee, the artist Condo, and that guy Jack who held the big battery, and, of course, the Yahoo Serious Festival.
And Lisa's immortal words. I know those words, but that sentence makes no sense.
And I think at the time of the episode, there were only 2 Yahoo Serious movies, and then a third like a decade later. So good. Wackiness. Was this a particularly wacky episode of The Simpsons?
Totally. I love the look on the kangaroo's face when it picks up the frog and it's just like, you're my child now. That all of the wacky cartoon stuff is so much fun. Even just the dumb stuff of the koala electrocuting itself and
then climbing back up again.
Yeah.
Oh, the frozen penguins smashing into the station.
oh yeah.
That is so fucking funny. It's just big ice ball got carried on the wind or something. I love it.
And the fact that it just gets up and keeps walking is also really oh well, this is a day.
Yeah.
Oh man. But I distinctly remembered the putting the frog in the pouch.
And then, on the other side of that, kangaroos put everything in their pouch. Oh, but not people. Now we're bringing logic into
lots
this.
of mucus. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and the whole commentary on the cane toad thing as well. So if that
Charles
frog...
was Elliot.
Oh, of course.
And that I remember thinking, I remember when I was a kid and hearing that joke and thinking, that's dumb. That's so dumb. Why is that supposed to be funny? That's dumb. Now I'm like, Charles was.
Dollary doos and Charles was.
Yeah.
We fully would do that. But I thought about the logistics this time is either that frog reproduced asexually, reproduced with their kangaroo, or
was already preggers when they landed.
He did say girl. Good point.
He did, yeah.
Yeah.
Guess who knows how fucking works, yeah.
But I mean, it's one of the things where the rare things where the Simpsons really do pull from real life. We had the cane toad problem in Australia, and also, we have a very strict flora and fauna policy, for bringing stuff in as well. It's when they chose to be realistic is not very wacky. So what was some other wacky things?
This episode was actually the inspiration for Jeff Vandermeer's Annihilation as well.
What's that?
It's too niche a joke. That's what it is. It's too niche a joke.
Is it that Netflix movie? No.
Oh, the movie Annihilation. No, don't worry about it. It's
I'll leave it in. Someone will enjoy it.
I've seen that.
Yeah, it's good. See how it relates. You can also see how this was now that last comment about this is what happens to an ecosystem when you introduce a foreign species in that it can't handle. It's that's why it was being taught in Pam's geography class, I guess. It's just for that.
Yeah,
I like that because
that's
it's just a
why.
very factual thing, and it's played off as a killer line, Lise. The other moments of wacky that I fucking love is the American toilet to combat homesickness with just the elaborate fucking machine that barely works.
No, but just crying as he salutes
And I love when they bring it back when Bart's making the decision to take his punishment. He looks at the Marine and he looks at the flag out the window and he looks at the toilet.
National pride filling him all the way from his head to his butt.
Also, just the wacky montage when they, instead of, putting us through some sort of plain scenario like they did with the Brazil episode, like we get a montage moving, or not a montage, but God, I'm a fucking film person. I should know what this is. A tracking shot through the earth. And you see like the various different like coffins that have one of the corpses digging down out of the grave.
Yeah.
There's dinosaurs in neat little coffins. There's a god of some kind.
I believe it's Vishnu.
Yeah, I was going to say Vishnu, but I'm
not 100%. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah, because I never know is that the elephant one or am I getting it right?
That's Ganesh.
Yeah, Ganesh.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
But
All right.
when I'm exhausted sometimes, I do think of, again, that one-syllable line delivery.
Just wiping the brow. Yeah.
And then Skylab, I'm not sure I get the Skylab thing, but it's like, that's probably something.
It was, I can't quite remember either, but it was like an early kind of, before the ISS space station, which is an international space station, they had Skylab, which I believe crashed.
Right.
Or like, but intentionally. It was, we don't need this thing anymore, let it just re-entry, I think. I really can't remember.
Was that before or after the Space Probe 7 disaster?
Was that a ride at Wonderland?
Yes, it was a ride at Wonderland.
I don't want to say, haha, that's a joke in case that was an actual thing I didn't know about.
7 people died.
But no, you got me.
That was actually a little YouTube rabbit hole I went down. Was looking because they got some like Channel 7 news reporters of the day to do like fake news reports for the immersion of that ride. And it's just like, things are going hectic here. Like, look them up if you can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a good like YouTube, especially I think for listeners who aren't Australian, have never heard of Wonderland before. There's like this really interesting YouTube series that's about like defunct, abandoned theme parks. And there's an episode about Wonderland that's really fascinating.
Oh, cool. Really? Well, yeah, because I was led to that from a recent episode of Community Notice Board, another excellent podcast if you want to learn about Australia.
Yeah, I was randomly you Google some weird things in the world of writing, and for some reason I was looking at roller coasters and theme parks, and then was looking at Wonderland. I'm like, the bush beast was faster than the demon. That's weird. I wouldn't have guessed that. But
the bush beast was the little beast, wasn't it?
No, that was the beast.
That was the beastie.
The beastie, and then bush beast.
Yeah.
Valet.
Apparently the demon is in, I think, Brazil, actually, out of all places.
It got disassembled and shipped somewhere else,
Yeah.
It's owned by Hitler.
That's where he's hiding out now.
That would be quite the plot twist. Not only he's alive, he's on an Australian roller coaster.
And doing twists. There was a lot of loops on that ride.
Yeah.
I was scared of it because I still have a weird fear of roller coasters that go upside down.
That's not weird. That's your body telling you that's the thing to be avoided.
That is not a thing the body is meant to do.
Yeah. Yeah, so I didn't mind the beastie, but the bush beast was also disconcerting because I have a fear of giant wooden roller coasters that looked like they were built 40-odd years ago.
The terror of that was how rickety it sounded. It was so much fun.
Oh my God, I loved it so much. I went on the bush beast with a broken arm once. I had like my fiberglass cast on, and they were just sort of like, is that... whatever.
She'll be right, mate. Give him a tinny, he'll be right.
Yeah, there weren't any Australia's Wonderland, you must be this high to enter. It was just, you're right.
Good fucking luck.
But, lots of wackiness to talk about. But how was the heart of this episode? Did we feel bumps?
It's not a bump episode, but, the bit where Bart feels a bit of pride for representing his country and then, writes so legibly on his own butt.
Yeah,
that's about all I got.
I think there was just heart with like the stuff of them genuinely feeling like a family. Like, and the again beautiful in the playlist of like beautiful Daggy Marge moments is the hat that says "Poverty's Nerfect" in Australia, and she's like, "It's clever, just like you."
Huh?
Yeah, what does she say about the didgeridoo? It seems very loud and expensive.
Yeah. Well, one of those is right.
Yeah. But did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons? Are these characters we know and love?
Yeah,
100%.
for sure.
Yeah.
A bit of cheekiness lands them in a different country, and they're all basically exploiting it and kind of being hilarious dickbags about it.
Yeah, and irreverent in all the right ways as well.
Yeah. And I do like, because, we're often critical of The Simpsons, starting out with one character and then it becoming the Homer show when we need a lot of gags. And certainly Homer does like flourish a lot when he goes to Australia, but it does feel like it's just more he needs to be the cipher for the loudmouth American who is doing shit like going Australia, America.
I get it, Dad.
I love we don't tolerate that kind of crap in America, so
Still like saying sir and just you one of those English guards that I can't talk or anything? No, US Marine Corps, sir.
I think as well, I used to do the, like when one of the houses that we lived in had like quite a long hallway, and I very distinctly remember doing the
Yeah, God, who would have known the Doppler effect jokes were?
So good. Like, that's
Who
just...
thinks to do a Doppler joke?
Yeah.
And then to be followed up with this.
Character integrity, it's like, it's all solid shit. Like, I mean, you can argue the show's stretching, but like, yeah, it's stretching, we're not breaking. And like, the fact that it still feels like a Simpsons, especially when at this time animating completely new settings and characters would have just been so laborious. Like, it's amazing how cohesive and part of the Simpsons world this feels like.
But a labor of love. They're animating new and interesting things in a funny script. So of course they're going to enjoy that process.
Yeah, because I know the reason we covered it on Worst Episode Ever is a lot of people will point to this and say this is where they jumped the shark. And it does raise the question, is it shark jumping if it's still a fun episode? Like, which I would argue no, because it's usually when you try and fail, but jury's out on that one, and fair.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also... If we're going to talk specifics, the first Simpsons go-to was Homer goes to space. Like, when they jump the fucking shark, they put him on a rocket ship with Buzz Aldrin. Like,
yeah. Also in Australia, shark jumps you.
It's true.
It's not wrong.
Especially in summer. Stay between the flags.
Stay between the flags. Oh, God.
But yes or no, would you watch it again?
There definitely wasn't enough like near fatal encounters with Australian wildlife, was there? It's an unusual thing looking back on it.
Yeah.
No, Australian wildlife look to be like they're more of a danger to themselves.
Yeah.
Whether they're electrocuting themselves or clinging onto helicopters.
And now to you, America.
But would you watch it again?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And episodes we want to watch again, we like to think about what players they go in. What are some other Simpsons episodes that would pair nicely with this one?
I mean, go-to is the obvious. Phil Hartman one-off characters. He has a couple.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Lyle Landry?
That'd be a great playlist. God, that'd be fun.
Yeah. Oh, even, pair it with some, top Lionel Hutz and Troy McClure episodes. Because, I mean, those two characters are often bit characters, but, like, when they get a full episode, like, it fucking rules.
Oh, my God.
Are you sure now? The prison train is sailing.
Oh, that's right. Just when she says, like, no, we're not doing this. He's my son. It cuts to him where you just see this tiny disappointed look. It's... Oh, God.
It's like, that was my... that would have solved everything. Oh.
That's just the animators. Like, that wouldn't have been Phil. That's just their touch. It's so good.
Yeah. Any other playlists?
I think, like, split-screen prank phone calls.
Yeah. Here we go.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Bart having a pet frog. He does that a couple of times.
That's true. In the France episode. Oh, that was another Simpsons go-to, but it wasn't the whole family, I guess.
Homer's in a monologue being good as well, like the write a check and I'll release more endorphins.
It's like, it might have been me, I can't remember.
Yeah. Homer gaslighting himself.
Yeah. Also just like, Homer in pain as well from the shower singing bit, which is fantastic.
Homer's improvised songs. I'm singing in the shower.
Shaving my shoulders. all shaved up.
Oh, Mandy, you came and you found me a turkey.
I didn't remember shaving my shoulders. That's amazing. Also, I don't know what the playlist is that you call it, but just doing that thing where they do something really mundane for an incredibly long period of time, like Bart just dialing the phone number.
Yes.
I feel like this has to be a reference, but I can never pick the melody of this.
It's a reference to international calls. Sorry, this is like a big chunk of my youth because my dad's from America and he would call home a lot. And so it would be about, 10:30 at night and his do 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 do.
Is he playing Funky Town with incorrect rhythms?
Well, he's not much of a musician.
No. I was about to say the same thing.
But, no episode is perfect, so what would you like to change about it, BT?
I feel like when we did this with Worst Episode Ever, it wasn't clear why they had two embassy representatives. Like, there's that stern guy who wants to shut the gate on them, and then there's Phil Hartman's character. And yeah, obviously there's a few tiny touches that we already mentioned that you probably wouldn't do now, but they're not, awful or anything.
Yeah.
So they're more just you wouldn't do them now. But yeah, I think just it's not a problem that there's two characters that aren't necessary. It just would have been slightly more efficient, I guess. And
yeah. What do you reckon, Molloy?
Yeah, I reckon just that thing that I flagged before, because I reckon it's one of those things where, and I'm 100% not the person to be saying it, so I would basically be like, I would say to an Indigenous Australian, what would you change about this? And get their thoughts on it, because I think BT was saying it all, it wasn't sort of so glaring like it was in the last episode, right? Where it was, clearly
front and center, and it was the plot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was just sort of okay. But yeah, other than that, it's just so much fun. I'd change so many other episodes to be like this, to just have that sense of fun at the center of it. Probably the only other interesting comment that I can say on it is that it has currency now, and going back to the Bart writing "Don't tread on me" on his butt, and now that being sort of the Republican and conservative kind of mantra, it's also still a really good indicator of when you are near to an asshole.
From downtown.
From down under. Oh, shit. Yeah, it's these are one of these episodes that just make me feel so unable to write.
Totally.
The worst episodes make me feel writing's fucking easy. You just do this one. I'm I wouldn't know how to improve it, but
this is what it is. Oh, this.
Yeah. But if it could just make it so the Prime Minister wasn't such an accurate depiction of our current Prime Minister, that'd be nice, because that was a bummer thinking about.
No, he had a spine. He was vertebrate. I don't think it's a.
When someone asked him for help, he did something.
That's true.
I love as well. I just love, hi, mates, what's a good word? That's such a good response.
Yeah, the whole playing with our neighbours are fucking 50 kilometres away from each other, and our Prime Minister's just hanging out in his fucking, donut.
Naked in his donut.
Well, how do you do it? Hey, sometimes you hang the donut, sometimes the donut hangs you.
Heavy is the butt that sits in the donut. The prime ministerial donut.
Yeah, what is it? Donut of Damocles.
Wow. All right, we are here. David, do you have any other notes before we rank this thing?
None of us have said the words knifey spoony.
It was on my list. All right.
Yeah, the whole pub scene with the coffee and the bee ear.
Yeah.
I guess that's just the bit that's been sort of quoted to death, right? It's still good, obviously. It's great.
Yeah, on this watch, I tried to make notes of the things you don't normally talk about, but it's just because I knew we would touch on coffee, beer.
But not often are we going to mention the Dirt Monument, which is, one of our national treasures. Any other notes?
Oh, I did write Willikers.
That's awful. Yeah. God damn the accents in this episode.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I did write this would have been a series final for Homer and Bart, because those roos would have kicked the shit out of them.
Yeah.
It's a series wrap on them.
Yeah, another thing to look up, Americans, look up jacked kangaroos. You'd be surprised how fucking muscly those big boys are.
Oh my God, it's a joy. That there's the one video of someone trying to hand one of them a slice of apple, and it can't do it because it's too jacked. It can't take the apple slice. It's because it's too muscular.
Good shit.
Oh, man. But I really, really liked Dustin Newsom's phone. Just how petty it was.
Buenas noches, Hitler.
I think he did call Rand McNally as well, speaking of wackiness, just that one place that's lava.
Yeah, I do like they don't specify where that is, and it's just somewhere.
But also just the play, again, the classic interchange of Lisa using her smarts against Bart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great.
Stupid Lisa, science queen.
Exactly.
BT, did you have any other notes?
Man, you've almost got me. There was only one I had left, which was, I'll boot your Prime Minister, so help me God, I'll boot him. And just how everyone's backing away, even when he's got the boot on his hand.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, we were very efficient with this one. I have got no more notes, so it must be time to rank this thing.
Except that I kind of want to be the booting guy next Halloween.
All right.
It's a good one. Hey, that's a good niche one.
It's just a leather jacket and like a foam boot that's not too heavy that I can walk around in.
When Halloween opens back up in 2024.
Woohoo!
All right, well, that must mean it's time to rank this thing. BT, boot it off.
I mean, I feel like I have to give it what I did on Worst Episode Ever, which is a cubic. It's incredibly iconic. It's a stupid amount of fun. I get to laugh at all the jokes because it's my country. I have nothing I really want to fix, and yeah, it's just a hell of a time.
Yeah, look, season 6 is already a standout fucking season, and this one is just, easy top 10, top 5 of that season for me. Like, and maybe not like in my top 10, top 5 of all time, but fucking hell, I have so much joy with this one. And yeah, the personal relation to it as well is, this one was just so lovely and warming, especially tonight.
Yeah.
David, what do you reckon?
Totally. Look, Foster's bronze. It's like, imagine coming on this podcast and not giving this a cubic. Jesus. Like, it's fantastic.
Oh, wonderful. Sorry, just have to bring up the thing, because especially...
Well, while you look that up, Elliot, I'm just going to announce that this has now won the Simpsons Index Award for Outstanding Achievement in the Field of Excellence.
Woo!
Excellent.
Thank you, BT. I would have forgotten that.
That's why I'm here, man.
Okay, so this... Oh, God damn it. 1, 2, 3.
And while you continue to do whatever it is you're doing, I'm just going to make chicken noises.
All right, so this will put this episode on par with Season 7 for the most unanimous cubic zirconias at 14.
Oh, beautiful.
So, from Season 6, the other unanimous cubic zirconias were Treehouse of Horror 5, Lisa on Ice, Homer Badman, Grandpa vs. Sexual Inadequacy, Homer the Great, and Maggie Makes 3, Bart's Comet, Lisa's Wedding, 2001 Greyhounds, The PTA Disbands, The Springfield Connection, Lemon of Troy, and Who Shot Mr. Burns Part 1.
Oh my God. Just back to back.
There's an afternoon for you.
Good Lord.
Get some Fosters and Knifey Spoony and...
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Don't get
Keep
Fosters.
the Chazwazzers out of the house.
It's time for some Simpsons.
Yeah. Just reminded me, that was a joke I didn't mind as well in the first episode we watched, was Homer just eating the meat off the skewer and avoiding the vegetables somehow.
Yeah, that wasn't bad.
Impressive.
Yeah, I'm going to bump it up to a gold now.
Yeah.
You have to call Jordan to do that. You know the rules.
That's true. Jordan, brace yourself. Yo, that was such good fun. Thank you so much for joining us for the Simpsons Index. David, what a treat.
Oh, this is the best. I'm like, again, this is the best way to be spending this silly lockdown thing we have to do. But yeah, thank you so much for having me back.
All good, man. But BT, if people want to hear more of us, where can they do that?
Well, these lucky people can listen to the entirety of Thrones of Game, our Game of Thrones podcast where we review the series, but in reverse order, with Elliot having never watched a single episode. Of course, now he's seen the entire series, but backwards. That means you can listen to us forwards, but learning less and less about the show as we go, if you're absolutely insane. Our other show is our scripted series, Pulp Fury Radio. This is where we've taken kind of old-timey radio plays from different pulp genres like horror and sci-fi and those other ones, detective stories, noir, that's the one I wanted. And yeah, did some Foley work, got to work with some incredible actors. Really proud of the work we did for that. These are all original stories. If you like a bit of genre fiction, this is for you.
Oh, the outside plug as well. They're both so much fun. They're both so much fun. Although I would say that if you did watch Game, like if you did listen to Thrones of Game that way and got dumber as you went along, it'd be much like the writers of the show. So
A weird parallel there.
Sitting there going, who are these characters?
Who's this guy now?
I actually just saw on my Facebook memories today that, it was a year ago today that we released It Came from the Bottom of the Ocean, but also from space. So
Yes.
So good.
check that out. But yeah, and also if you want to support us and everything we do at SideQuest Studios, we have a Patreon. That's patreon.com/SideQuest Studios, where every week you'll get a bonus podcast as well. Our flagship show is Except When He's Not, where BT is reviewing the episodes of The Simpsons that he missed when we reviewed them on the Index proper.
I'm back with a vengeance and reviewing things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Opinions.
Yep.
Yep. We've also got a couple of experimental shows, Index Specs, where me, BT, and Danny all wrote a Simpsons spec script, and also Storyboard the Chalkboard, which we mentioned before.
Yep.
All right.
These are just the wild experiments we're doing in this wasteland of podcast world.
But yeah, that's been a really interesting episode of the Simpsons Index. It's always nice to end on a high note.
Sure is.
So yeah, once again, David Molloy, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
BT, thank you as always.
Tighten up your dogs.
And I've been your host, Elliot Jay O'Neill. That's all the mustard in the house.
Thank you for listening to the Simpsons Index podcast, which is also an online spreadsheet available at thesimpsonsindex.com. You can chat to us online at facebook.com/thesimpsonsindex or at Simpsons Index on Twitter and Instagram. And now please stay tuned for the bonus scenes!
I nearly forgot it. I wrote it down earlier like, this is the closer you used today. And I nearly forgot it. Comedy threes. I needed to get my third one.
All right, let's do the world-famous sinking game. Here comes the first number. 1,
2,
3,
4,
5,
6.
fucking pros now. We might be able to start streaming the sinking game on Twitch. And, wrong page.
That's number Wang.
Simpsons Index plays sinking game on Twitter. No, I got nothing. But yeah.
We'll go for the world record.
All I know is we'll then
The
have to buy
Sinkums
those,
Index.
buy those headphones that have little cat ears on them. That's all I know about Twitch.
And you're actually like an animated character in a hot tub.
Yeah, that'll be our
And
new
then we sell the hot tub water, of course.
Yeah.
BT bath time water. That's what the BT stands for.
Oh, I'm so glad that that's on record as well. Nicely done. Hello, deleted scenes.
Here comes the first number. 1,
2,
6. Fuck!
4.
5.
Well done.
The number
You
of
know,
the
that's
counting shall be 3. You have your pre-save done, though. Because
It is done.
You've missed
Yeah.
your last couple, and I wanted to look after you, honey.
Cheers, babe.
It's important.
It really is.
Yeah. So basically, if you save a file before you start recording on Logic, if it crashes, it like automatically saves. I don't know if it works on everything, but it's saved our butts a few times, and a few times where we've forgotten and found out the hard way that we didn't have the pre-save done.
Oof.
That was only once, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was only once we lost to Full Thrones a game, but that's,
Yeah.
Ooh.
that's 20 minutes. That's no big deal.
That's...
And it wasn't a particularly interesting episode either, so there was a feeling of...
It's just, I do kind of want to, I wish we had the original and the second take just to see how many parts we recycled.
Yeah. I've heard episodes of other podcasts where the hosts have just been like, one of the hosts has just been like, this is a second attempt at this episode because you did lose your end of the file and I'm so mad.
Yeah, our friends at Baby Beer Media on their Futurama podcast had to redo it like 4 times. By the 4th, they were just like, look, this episode's good. Fine, bye.
It's done.
Yeah. And I have waveforms.
Yes.
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 I don't think anyone, because I think everyone has tried that and no one can do it as perfectly as it is in the episode. Like, it's so good.
Oh, yeah. There's so many lines that it's that exact delivery and anything else would just not work as well.
But yeah, probably the shortest Simpsons quote that people would recognize as well.
Yeah.
But you have to give it a very specific inflection. Yes.
Yes.